understand what they are talking about. Now, what is the trigger here? They're saying there was this conversation about the finance bill that your government, until the other day, could not listen to anybody. It's not about the housing project. It's about listening. They are saying yours is not a listening presidency, and yours is not a listening government.
How best can I listen to the young people of Kenya if I am not addressing their issues? And that is why I want to tell you, Linus, these young people, what is their biggest issue? They have talents. They have gone to school. They have no jobs. That is the problem. And I am addressing those issues. Housing is one of them. Digital jobs is another. I was in Ruiru with Simon Kingara, the MP for Ruiru, launching an ICT hub that will is actually hiring already 5,000 young people. Our whole plan, including what was in the finance bill, was to increase CDF by 10 billion shillings to roll out ICT hubs in every ward in the Republic of Kenya, so that we can hire young people, train them, put them on digital jobs. I have a third program on export of labor.
Mr. President.
I have a fourth program on manufacturing, to be able to create more opportunities for the young people of our country.
And we want to inform you, they're no longer just talking about things that can be done to them as a demographic. They are looking at the big picture. Finance bill brought them out. And when did they come in? They came in after all public participation forums were not listened to. Kenya Association of Manufacturers spoke to the parliamentary committee, same thing, and said this is a bad bill. Association of Insurance spoke to the parliamentary team, this is a bad bill. We had a big conversation on national television, this is a bad bill. You did not listen. You had a meeting here with your UDA MPs and at some point told them to pass it as it is. And until the last week, that was the first Tuesday when the protests were there, when now you offered to some amendments. They're saying you're just not listening, and it's not about them, it's about the big picture issues, and we'll come to them, including the question of corruption, which is not really a youth thing.
Indeed, Mr. And just to add on to that, Mr. President,
have been more
Mr. President, I just want to come
in your analysis.
I just want to add on to that, Mr.
Because
I want to add on to
because that. let me just finish it, Neil.
It's the same question. It's the same question. Mr. President, if you went into all the X spaces where the youth are speaking, if you looked at the demonstrations and what they were saying, the placards they are carrying, none of them has talked about we don't have jobs. None of them have talked about the housing jobs are not enough for us. None of them have talked anything about what you have mentioned. So it's not that they are not seeing about the jobs. It is beyond that, Mr. President. And respectfully, I want to put it to you that you're not hearing what they're saying.
In fact, we only had after the protests, after all those things you described, that's the time that you came and said, I have listened.
Let me tell you the following. The rejection of the finance bill, and this goes to what Linus has said, that we didn't hear anything. Let me tell you, the process of a finance bill, in fact, you know, many people believe in Kenya that the finance bill is an invention of William Ruto. It is not an invention of William Ruto. The finance bill is an instrument that has been with us ever since independence. Only that we have made it much more transparent. Only that we have brought out more to the public. And that is why there is greater interrogation of what government is doing, especially after the new constitution that made public participation not a sterile provision of the constitution, but public participation to be an integral part of lawmaking, an integral part of managing the country. Let me tell you, when we took the bill, when we formulated the bill, it had 346 billion of new revenue. When MPs went out to the public said, we don't think this is good. we don't think this is good. It was reduced by 140-something billion shillings. It remained just 200 billion. Doesn't that amount to listening?
No, it doesn't.
That the public said, reduce this by...
No, it doesn't, no. Mr. President. And that's why I said reject it.
Just wait. Just wait. No, we are talking about listening.
Yeah.
Just relax. We're talking about listening, okay? So the public said, reduce this by 146. We sat down, we cut down the areas, we reduced it to 200. What went into the space was the people who wanted to mislead the public, to say, oh, you see, in fact, everything you have been told is still there. This was not removed. These people are not listening. These people are not listening. And let me tell you, my good friend Latif, we have dropped the finance bill. Yeah? What does that mean? It means we have gone back almost 2 years. It means that this year we are going to borrow 1 trillion shillings to be able to run our government. That's what it means. I have been working very hard to pull Kenya out of a debt trap.
Mr. President.
Just allow me. Because, you know, we need to contextualize this finance bill. It is easy, Joe. It is easy for us as a country to say, let us reject the finance bill. That's fine. And I have graciously said, we will drop the finance bill. But it has huge consequences. It means we will not confirm the JSS teachers, 46,000 of them. It means we cannot support our farmers with 2 billion shillings for us to make sure that farmers get a fair return of 50 shillings per kilogram, per kilo of their milk. It means we cannot sort out the coffee debts. It means we cannot support the cherry fund. It means we cannot sort out the debts of farmers in Mumias. It also means that we will continue to import potatoes from Europe when we have potatoes in his village. You just told me in Kimana. We have potatoes in Nyandarua. We have onions all over the place.
That may well be. I think the problem has been, these are people who are saying they haven't been listened to. You only listen because you said on that night, on that Wednesday night, that is the moment you said that you had realized, Mr. President, that Kenyans did not want anything to do with that bill. And one would wonder, how can that be, Mr. President? And you have had all these presentations that have been made. Did it have to take demonstrations and sadly loss of lives for you to come to a point where you'd realize what your people, the people that voted for you, are saying? That, I think, is what the young people are asking.
Let me tell you, Joe, members of parliament are representatives of the people, elected. They are not fools and they are not mad. And I want to say, one day, Kenya will know that the MPs who voted yes are the true heroes of Kenya. Those are the people who saw the opportunity for us to unchain our country from debt trap and take our country to the future. Let me tell you, Joe, and I want to say this to the people of Kenya, that my plan was to make sure that in the next 3 years, maximum 4 years, we have a balanced budget, where Kenya is not the country where we are today. Let me tell you, gentlemen, and I want to tell the people of Kenya the following. We are in a very difficult financial position. This is something that the people of Kenya must understand, and that is why I am happy that we have a crisis. This crisis will help us be candid and speak to each other properly and contextualize where we are. We raised this year 2.3 trillion from our taxes. Of that 2.3 trillion, 1.1 trillion went to debt financing. 1 trillion went to salaries. What did we do? We had to go and borrow to pay the counties. We had to go and borrow to fund our education. We had to go and borrow to fund. Now, the funding gap we have done with the finance bill going down is that instead of borrowing 600 billion, we are going to borrow 600 billion plus 346 billion. That is close to $1 trillion. And let me tell you, my good friends, and I want us to be honest with ourselves. This is not how a country will get to a status where we are proud of our nation. This is not how we are going to. This is not how we are going to grow. And that is why. Linus, this situation, this crisis is a very important inflection point that we can sit together, assess. Let us agree, and I have no problem. Let us agree.
Yeah.
Do we continue borrowing? And let me give you the statistics. When in 2013, Linus, just allow me 1 minute, please, with a lot of respect.
Okay.
In 2013, the debt stock of Kenya was 1.8 trillion. For 10 years, that increased 5 times to 11 trillion, 10 point something trillion. We built a lot of roads. We connected a lot of electricity. We did many things in 10 years. But we were doing it on debt. Today, we don't have the luxury to borrow because we have reached the limit. And today, let me finish. Today, all the money we borrowed from 2013 is maturing. That is why the biggest challenge that we have as a nation is that we are spending 1.1 trillion every year of taxes we collect from ordinary Kenyans to pay debt, and not the whole debt.
That's
interest alone.
Yeah. Interest principal comes to 1.8 trillion this year.
So, my good friends, and yet you want to tell me, William Ruto, don't collect domestic taxes. Go borrow more money.
No, Mr. President.
That's not what they're saying, President. And
what is the alternative?
Yeah, and I just wanted to come to one.
No, what is the alternative? Just help me there.
Yeah.
Because there are only 2 things you can do. Either you raise money from taxes or you borrow, period. There is no magic here.
There are Kenyans, Your Excellency, right now who do not listen to all that.
Yes.
They are not interested in that.
That's okay, but that's the reality.
But I need
if you are not, if you do not want to listen to reality.
Hang on, Your Excellency. Hang on, Your Excellency, because I need you to address a very important issue here. And that is one of a trust deficit. There are Kenyans who watch you, Your Excellency, and I don't know whether you are aware that they don't trust what you say. They don't believe what you say. Are you aware, Your Excellency, for example,